Namaste, Venus lovers, soul tribe, friends, and family. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about Venus again. Hopefully, you were able to catch the live I did about Venus at the Silver Gate, because this is the moment it's happening. This transit from Gemini, from the beginning of Gemini to the end of Gemini, starts at the Silver Gate, starts at the solstice point, starts at the galactic and solar system nodes. So I am really excited to share this with you. Um, I'm not going to have a really big presentation for you today, but I did want to just share some personal stuff. Um, the past few months, I've been in a very 12th house sort of energy. Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, Venus, they've all been traveling through my 12th house and just recently entered into my first house. So I have been in a place of solitude, inner work, meditation, contemplation, working on things that don't require a lot of people, and all of this is about to emerge. I myself feel like I'm moving through this silver gate, this portal, this gateway of men. And so let's just talk about the energies that we're going to go through. I'm going to share my screen with you. I have, of course, my typical calendars that you guys are used to. I think what I'll do first is just sort of take you through the calendar and then show you in the sky, and then we'll go into this, okay? So I'm recording this right around here, but the moment that Venus moves into Gemini is the 16th of June. She will do that conjunct both Sun and Mercury, because 4 days later is the summer solstice, and that is the longest day of the year. That is when the Sun also moves into Gemini. If I sound confusing to you guys, I'll explain shortly. We are not doing tropical astrology, but do stick with me. The full moon is next week. Venus makes a couple of squares to some very important energy. And then the 29th is a big day. And then on the 7th of July, Venus moves into the constellation of Cancer. So we are going to get into all of this and more in just a few minutes. I wanted to make a couple of announcements. If you did watch the Silvergate video, you probably know just about everything that's going on. The Neptune class, I want y'all to get into this class. It is going to be co-taught by a friend and colleague named Maria Schumacher. She'll be joining me. She is a Wiccan priestess and a professional constellational astrologer. And she's going to take us through the constellations of Neptune, through the true constellational dates. She's going to talk about overarching general themes with that. And we'll have a resource document for you. It'll be very different from my other classes, but the content's going to be just as amazing. This will be taught live and recorded for the Learn.Dr. Danny course modules. So if you want to join the live class, which I highly recommend you do, then the link is in the description. Please click on that. Once we go live, actually, it's easy to go live for you guys. You can join the class just by going into your module and clicking on that Zoom link. You'll be taken right into it. The course is recorded, and then once we're done, I put the recording up into the class module. Okay, so I would love for you to join that. An extra bonus for you guys is a Neptune meditation. This is an amazing meditation. It is short, it's about 22 minutes, but it's a guided meditation by me. I get you in your Merkaba and we go to the planet Neptune. Once we're there, we go ahead and invoke the Vedic mantras to Neptune. We chant, and then we also chant the seed mantra for the third eye chakra. So it's a third eye activation, which is very important when you're dealing with Neptune energy. So that is great. That's part of the course. That's already uploaded. So if y'all want to get in on that, click on that link, sign up, listen to the meditation, and then join us for the class or catch it recorded, okay? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this course. This is in about 13 days, so 12 days from now. And by the time this video comes out, it'll be about 10 days. So make sure you guys get into that. The other announcement, summer school's coming. I know you guys have been seeing my graphics. More details are going to be coming about that. That's going to start on the 7th. It's another class. I'll give you a hint. It's about business and financial astrology. I really want y'all involved in this. It is the most useful astrology information I think people can have. So I hope you guys get in on that. I'll be making announcements through the YouTube community. And thank you guys so much for responding to these posts and these videos and with your comments. I really do appreciate it. I read every single one of your comments. I put a heart on there or I respond back to you. I'm not going anywhere for a while. I have a lot of videos in me now. I have, over 275 videos, almost 300 videos, and I'm not going anywhere. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a whole new Venus cycle starting. It started on the 4th of June. Let's take a look at space and see what we are going through. I have stellarium-web.org queued up for you. This is the day that Venus enters the constellation of Gemini. That's right, guys. We're doing constellational astrology. This means that we're using what's in the sky. Okay, so we're not worried about energies that are derived from the idea of these constellations. We are actually using them. Tropical astrology is fine. You can use it. It has a purpose. It's more seasonal. But this is right here, what you're looking at, this conglomeration of Sun, Mercury, and Venus. This is the Silver Gate that we discussed in depth. The other side of the solar system, or the other side of our view, 180 degrees away, is the Golden Gate. It's Ophiuchus, okay? Now, if you're looking at a heliocentric chart, like if we were standing on the sun right now, Earth would be in the galactic center, okay? So your perspective is very important. It's very important that you know what you're looking at and looking up to see. The sky gives us clues. So let's move forward the 3 weeks that we are in Gemini. Look how quickly Mercury is moving. That's Mercury right there. Mercury is going to speed right through Gemini and then enter the constellation of Cancer right around here. And then Venus will follow and enter Cancer right around here. Okay? Right around that new moon, the next new moon that we're going to have. All right? So that is space. Let me show you a moving chart. I love moving charts. I do this every day, you guys. When I get an idea in my head or I think about something that's going on, I go ahead and I grab my charts and I just start moving them forward and backward just to see what they're doing. So we're going to move through here. Here you can see Venus and Mercury conjunct the Sun right here at the Silver Gate between Taurus and Gemini. We're going to move forward the 3 weeks that Venus is in. So this is exactly what we just saw in the sky, okay? But we're doing it in an astrological chart that coincides with the sky, not something that sort of represents the sky. There's Venus conjunct Sirius. That's a big day. Oh, this, by the way, guys, is my Venus return right here. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. All right, moving forward. And then there's that new moon, and then the moon will usher Venus into her house of Cancer on the 6th of July. Okay, let's take a look at these calendars. Let's break down these energies aspect by aspect and kind of get a feeling of what we're moving into. All right. So let's review where we've been, where we're going. We just had a Taurus new moon. What a wonderful moon. This whole early part of June has just been fantastic, hasn't it? I mean, I wish it wasn't in my, I'm glad it's in my 12th house. I'm always glad where stuff is. But if this had been in any other house, oh my gosh, you guys would be so sick of me by now because I've just been popping off with all these ideas. But 12th house energy is so lonely and solitary. So you'll be seeing my energy moving out more into a first house type of energy. But at any rate, Venus also just went from morning star to evening star. So she's having kind of a shift herself, very synchronistic to what's going on with my own energy. And this just marks the beginning of a new Venus cycle. This is the insemination of a new creative idea. And as Venus moves through this Silver Gate portal, this is committing to the gestation. And then in 10 months, when we get to an inferior conjunction and we're full of Venus energy and she's at her heightened part of her phase, that will be the birth and the joyous celebration of our creation manifested. Not too long ago, Mars moved into Aries. So he's been sort of going through that 12th house, first house transition from Pisces into Aries. So this energy is, more of the spiritual warrior, the fighter that does not fight only if he has to an energy that's more like initiatory and entrepreneurial and ready to be out there. So get ready to feel this energy. The two transits that are going to start us off on the 16th of June, the first one, Venus conjunct Mercury conjunct Sun, started in earnest on June 9th and will continue all the way until the 24th. So it's still very much a big part of the story that we're feeling through all of these other energies. So this is, if you didn't watch that video, please do that. If you didn't see the conversation that Dawn Blossom with Lotus and I had, that is a really great energy to, that's an hour or 45 to hour minute long talk about this particular energy. So I will leave a link to that video below as well, so y'all can get a feeling for what we're still dealing with for the next couple of weeks. All right, so on the 16th, okay, so from the 9th to the 24th, you have Sun, Venus, Mercury. I think we've talked our pants off about that one. The next energy that's bringing us in is Sun, Mercury, and Venus conjunct square onto Neptune. This is about a week-long transit. It started on the 12th and will end on the 20th, Thursday the 20th, which is, by the way, the solstice. So let's dive into this a little bit. This is good new energy for us. Something, our first square sort of to Venus during these last few transits. And so this is a tension, right? Squares are tension, and it's between our creative light, which is Venus, and our spirituality, which is Neptune. So we know a lot about Venus, we know a lot about Mercury and Sun, but what is Neptune doing? Neptune attains enlightenment by everything that is possible, anything that is possible. It represents our creative connection to spirit. Everything merges into one at the end of it all, right? Death and life become one, truth and lies become one, you and I become one. It all becomes one. And these two planets and the sun are all very individual energies. So it could be an energy that could be draining, when you focus on yourself or the little things. This huge energy of Neptune squaring onto our personal stuff might make us feel a little bit drained, especially on this new baby evening star just emerging into the through the Silvergate portal. So we might have to make decisions based on incomplete information as well. Or based on deceptions or illusions. Neptune really has no discernment, not because he or she's stupid. She has no discernment because in the end, it really doesn't matter, when we get to the end of it all. So watch your boundaries here too, because Neptune has no boundaries. Neptune wants to merge into the limitless. So you could use that too. After coming out of my 12th house energy, I'm sort of dreading this because I don't want my baby evening star energy to be kind of dragged back down into that solitary energy. So yeah, just a little square to deal with for that week while we're still basking in the Sun, Mercury, Venus conjunction. And then both Mercury and Venus enter Gemini pretty much the same day. The Sun will follow 4 days later. So that's what we're working with basically this first half of the first week of this transit. And then things begin to change because on the 20th, which if you watched my live earlier this week, I explained to you why this solstice point is so incredibly important. The sun is now going to conjunct this silver gate, and this is the summer solstice for the northern hemisphere and the winter solstice for the southern hemisphere. So solstice points, okay? Right there at the cusp of Taurus and Gemini, and then on the other side of the chart, it is the galactic center, which lines up with the winter solstice for the northern hemisphere and the summer solstice for the southern hemisphere. Okay, so winter and summer solstices, this is that alignment right here. And so we're at a square to the vernal and the autumnal equinoxes at the moment when the sun is right here. All right, so do check out that video about Venus through the Silver Gate so you guys can get a better idea of what this Silver Gate is about and why it is so amazing. So this is the peak of the sun's activity for the year too, right? This is the sun's fullness. This is the sun's 9-10 months pregnant kind of energy about to birth, about to disseminate a new creation. So now it's the dawn of summertime. All right, so I'll probably be announcing summer school during this week when the first day of summer comes, but it's going to be very, very cool. We're actually going to have 2 big classes. The first one will be the financial and business astrology, and then the second one will be about the lunar nodes and destiny. These 2 months are going to be absolutely amazing. I have a guest teacher for the lunar nodes. It's going to be amazing. All right, so Yeah, so that's summer school. I don't have any links to give you right now because I got a little bit ahead of myself, a little bit behind myself. I thought I would announce it right now, but I'm not quite ready to do that. So we will just move on into the very next day. So after this solstice, we have a Sagittarius full moon. Okay, so the moon is going to be at the galactic center, just a few degrees into Sagittarius. And then the sun will be over here in very early Gemini. So this is basically a galactic node full moon. It's similar energy to the eclipse, but on a much bigger, more cosmic level. Um, and anytime you have these energies go over portals like the lunar nodes and the galactic nodes, you can get some unexpected changes. It wouldn't surprise me if you experience sort of the same energy, but more of a cosmic and spiritual level with the magnitude of these nodes. So some kind of change here, some kind of interesting switch, flip in the energy. There's definitely going to be a shift. And then, yeah, it's not all love and light, you guys. Sometimes Venus has to do some work. She's did the square with Neptune, trying to figure things out, trying to discern what's real, what's not real, and how it fits into the personal energy. And then she's got to do a square onto the nodes. So maybe there'll be some kind of download here, some sort of informational energy that speaks to why we are squaring with our evolutionary destiny when it comes to Venus energy. So we get a tension here in our creative space. This energy, the Venus squaring the nodes, by the way, will go from the 22nd all the way to the 1st of July. So this is like the second half of our transit. So maybe right in the middle of it, like the middle third of it. So stepping outside of the comfort zones and facing fears, trying something new so that we can evolve, create creatively. And maybe we feel a little bit, this could be some kind of stale energy. It's been so wonderful and beautiful. Maybe we need a little bit of a challenge here. And so next it'll be that creative challenge. The download will come through on the Silvergate and Golden Gate full moon, and then we'll have to ask ourselves what it is we're really doing here. So I would take a leap here. If something confronts you that seems like something you would never do, maybe do it. Maybe try it. It's okay if you don't necessarily benefit from it, but at least and then you tried it. So that's what I would say. I would say once you're clear on what this new download is and what your new creative energy is going to be, you can go ahead and work with it in terms of what your life's purpose is. All right. Now, while Venus is squaring the nodes and that wonderful Sun Mercury, Venus energy is waning off, and we're through that Silvergate moon solstice portal energy from the 23rd to the 3rd of July. We're going to have Venus sextiling onto Mars. So, this is an opportunity to combine the best of both of these archetypes. So, that loving, creative, divine inspiration combined with the will, the drive, the ambition, and the courage. Mars attains enlightenment by achieving the will of the creator. And I often say that Venus is the creator, or at least she's the flow behind it, the force behind it. Okay. And so to have Mars there, I always kind of, and when I picture these two together working harmoniously, when you have water that doesn't have a container, it's everywhere. It's flowing in all directions, follows the path of least resistance. And I feel like what Mars does is it guides it. It takes it to the space it's supposed to be, contains it in a beautiful expression. And that is really what this sextile energy is about. And so perhaps that square to the nodes might comment a little bit on this, and then this will be a nice way to use that energy. So there feels like there's an energy of compromise here, an energy of being willing to surrender to the will, or the will to work with creation, right? From the 27th to the 7th of July, Venus is going to make a trine to Saturn, which will station retrograde right after this happens. So she's going to be with Saturn for a minute or two here, probably about 2 weeks. Yeah. So what is Venus trining onto Saturn? So there's going to be a harmonious flow with everything that's Saturn and everything that's Venus. So what is Saturn? Well, Saturn is our structure. Saturn is our teacher. Saturn is about time. Saturn is about things that last. So he's also representing the 3D reality here. And it's going to be in harmonious flow with your creative desires as well. So maybe by the time we get through that full moon portal and the solstice portal, we have wonderful soothing energy of Venus sextile to Mars. This trine might provide us with responsible, reliable, and timely resources that we need to manifest our creation, right? And then the retrograde happens. And what I feel when Saturn goes retrograde is I feel like Saturn to me always feels like a clamp kind of holding me back for my own good. But what we're going to feel when Saturn goes retrograde is it's going to release. It's going to release. And the feeling of release is either because we don't feel like we need to escape anymore, or we now have the room or the space to move into. Okay, so that retrograde, which happens on the 30th, while these guys are in a trine, is right here. I want to talk about the 29th before we get into the next transit and talk about Neptune retrograde, because the 29th is a big day. It's a big day. A lot of things happening. This might be a very inspiring kind of a day. It'll be a day of maybe some karmic reset. I'm not really sure how all these combined are going to play out, but number one, the moon is going to pass the previous eclipse point. So this is something that will be a quick hit. It will bring in the themes for you that you experienced during the eclipse. So the eclipse point's right there. That's theme one. But you've got a trine and a sextile here, but you also have Venus squaring on the nodes. So the moon is at the eclipse point while Venus is squaring the nodes. So whatever the Venus energy you were working with during the eclipse might be reminded of that today. It won't be as intense, but you will be reminded of it. Venus conjuncts Sirius on this day. This is huge. So this would be so magnificent to see, except the sun's in the way right now. We're not going to see this Venus and Sun conjunct Sirius, but this energy is happening. This conjunction is a very, very big deal because in just a few short weeks in July, we're going to start seeing the star Sirius just before sunrise. This is the heliacal rising of Sirius. This was a big deal back with Egyptian astrologers. It marked the beginning of the Nile flood season, which was a season of fertility and regeneration. So powerful for Venus to be conjunct Sirius. There's an ease, there's a comfort, there's a luxury radiating a charm, a manner of appearance, and a life of ease and comfort. So this might be a real nice day just to sort of, I don't know, sit with the body, sit with the sensations. What are you feeling into that day, and how is that helping you be more creative? This is also my Venus return because I have Venus conjunct Sirius, also Saturn and Lilith. So those three are together in my Gemini. And so Venus returns, it's like a solar birthday, but it actually happens a little bit, let's see, every 584 days. Unless you have a retrograde, then you have three hits over your Venus. So you have three Venus returns in one. It's a little bit different energy than when, like, say, your Saturn returns or your Mars returns or your Sun returns. So Venus return, conjunct Sirius, Moon conjunct the eclipse point, and then Mercury enters into Cancer. So Mercury in Cancer is like this compassionate communication. The stars of Cancer are so dim. They're so hard, even in the bright starry sky of Texas at night on a new moon. It's so hard to see Cancer. I've seen him, but it's hard to see that constellation. It's such a subtle place. So if you're feeling more quiet with your thoughts, if you're feeling more quiet with your speech, things kind of slow down a little bit and move inward with your Mercury, your mind, your intelligence, your learning, that's okay. That's because Mercury is moving into Cancer. It's a short transit. It'll probably last a week or two. And then, of course, I mentioned before that Venus return. It's nice for this to happen right as Venus is beginning that new 20-month cycle, because it's like, that new baby morning star and beginning a new cycle. It's really going to be very big and creative and wonderful. Every time you work consciously with a cycle, as it repeats itself, you get better and better and better at it. So moon cycles are nice because they're quick and they're not too impactful. But when you start working with the lunar cycles, you'll know exactly where you need to be and how you need to do it when the moon is in a certain sign. Then you work with Mercury and you get those quarterly cycles. And things start to work out and are much more synchronous during your Mercury retrogrades. And then you start working with Venus and you'll see your abundance, things you value, the material resources that you need, relationships start to flourish because you are working with the goddess energy. Okay. So, yeah, I have so many inspired ideas. Honestly, guys, I'm really not going anywhere. I have so much to tell you and so much to do, and I have the time to do it now. And um, yeah, so okay, the next thing is the next two things are Saturn retrograde and then Neptune retrograde the very next day. This is basically the end of our transits, except for one last one. Oh no, I have a few more things to talk about. Okay, so on the 30th, Saturn stations retrograde. Remember, I already talked about this. This is going to feel like a release. On the 1st of July, Neptune is going to station retrograde. So what we're going to feel here is going to be very interesting. Neptune is, all that's possible, the limitless, the imagination, the spiritual, the cosmic shaman of the zodiac. And what we may find in general as a collective is that there's an ease in the illusions and in the deceptions. Okay. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I'm being lied to a whole lot about what's been going on in the world. And that may ease off. The veil might lift a little bit. We might find out some things that are actually true for a change. So it should be very interesting to watch what happens towards the end of June with that retrograde. So being a retrograde planet, both of these planets are going to be on our side of the sun, meaning that we will have so much more access to the manifestation power of Saturn and to the spiritual realms of Neptune. There'll be the veil will be lifted, there'll be less deception, and also boundaries might even become a little bit more clear. I feel like with these two, because Saturn's all about the boundaries, Neptune is not, and they're both going retrograde. So they might kind of switch places and just add a spiritual component to it. Should be very interesting. All right. Don't forget to sign up for that Neptune class. That reminds me of Neptune. Guys, if you like this video, if you love this content, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. Please join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. We're growing, we're getting bigger all the time. The community of constellational astrologers is growing, and I feel like very soon here, we're going to have an exponential liftoff because people are going to be realizing that their real sky is where it's at. I know that people, once they go from tropical to constellational, they never go back because there's something that happens once they get past that cognitive dissonance. Once they like, whoa, okay, yeah, that makes total sense. I get it, I get it, I get it. It's exponential. Okay, so I am hoping that for you, and I'm praying that that happens for all of us. The last transit we're going to deal with here is going to be Venus squaring on to Chiron. This is going to last until the 9th of July. So first you get your sextile, which we had back in May, and now we have our square. So what actions do we need to take here in order for our creative space to help us to facilitate the integration of our deep subconscious wounds? There's a tension here. We can either take a constructive action or we can take a reactive action. And I don't know about y'all, but I definitely don't like reactive days where I wake up and I'm always just reacting to the next thing. I like to be ready. I like to be prepared. I like to use what's coming at me to ultimately help me or to learn. Okay. So what can you do this week to be a little bit more proactive, to get ready for this? So when the 29th comes, that's a big deal. Saturn's here helping you. Both Saturn and Neptune go retrograde, and now you have this Chiron energy, this tension here. So it might feel very hard to bring some of these feelings up, but if you know your Chiron wounds, if you understand where your Chiron is in your chart and what house it's in, this can kind of help you. You can say, okay, my creative energy is going to take a hit here, in this part of my life. So maybe I need to, kind of put this to the side for a minute until this transit passes. All right. Then we're going to end this transit through Gemini with a Gemini new moon, as the moon and sun are conjunct with star Sirius. So a lot of Sirius energy here, Sirius themes, a lot of beginning of cycles, because the new Sirius heliacal rising is a big deal that's coming, and then the new moon on Sirius, and then the solstice and the silver gate, and the new baby evening star Venus. So we have a lot of portal energy, a lot of shifts coming up in the next few weeks and days. All right, that's all I have for you today. So again, I'll leave all the pertinent links below if there's any additional information you need. Like I said, join the fellowship, follow me on Facebook, like and subscribe, hit the notify button too. That way, if I go live, y'all will know that. And that's all I have. Sign up for Neptune, guys. Until next time, namaste.